Good evening, Sam. I'm very sick today. I'm very tired. It's late, but there's been a thought that's been on my mind for a few days now, and it's come up in 3 different places, and I wanted to share it with you. Abstraction as a heuristic tool, like heuristics is the wrong word, but we need abstraction because not all of us know how to create a combustion car engine from scratch. In fact, probably nobody knows nowadays how to create a combustion engine from scratch. And that's the example that's always given. You just get in, you turn the key, you don't know how the engine works, you just drive. And I've always taken an issue with that because knowing how the engine works does change how I drive. Specifically in edge case situations. Obviously, 9 to 5 commute, 98% of the time, it's not going to make a difference. But I drove a 96 Subaru that leaked coolant. And because I understood how the heating and AC system worked, even though it was the middle of summer, I rolled down the windows and I blasted the heat and I was able to limp far enough to go and get my car taken care of. I understood that I was doing some of the work of the cooling system by blasting heat in my car. Maybe that was unnecessary and it didn't help anything. Maybe that is just a myth that I believed and I thought I understood, but I didn't. And maybe that was unnecessary and I was just really hot for no reason. Because I had an understanding of the workings of something, I was able to troubleshoot when things went wrong. I think that there are some things that we do not need to understand how they work. For example, I'm not particularly worried for like a light switch, like flipping on and off a light switch. Okay, if the bulb goes out, I know how to change a light bulb. And if that doesn't do it, then I'm calling an electrician because there's no case in which there's no nuance. There's not a range of possibilities or a range of outcomes. There's just, it's either works or it doesn't. On the other end of this spectrum, I've been making sourdough recently. And in order to make sourdough, you have to make a sourdough starter. Sorry, I want to make sourdough. So I'm working on a starter. And I've been feeding my starter every day and I'm following these instructions. Man, I don't understand what's happening. I get that there's a lot of bacteria the first few days, but then the yeast takes over. But then I'm discarding every day. Why am I doing that? And you're supposed to feed it when it's more active. And there's these rules of thumb and these almost folk traditional methods of doing it. And that is how I think people turn the key. My wife made sourdough starter and she just watched a bunch of TikTok videos and then she made a starter based on all of these ideas that people had, these turning the key tricks and tips, and them saying, oh, this is how you do it. You don't need to understand the microbiome. But I'm sitting here, I think I threw away too much, or I didn't feed it for one day, and then it didn't have any activity the next day. And I was like, oh no, I killed my starter. And then today, the starter grew. It's supposed to increase, like fluff up a little bit when you give it fresh flour. Anyway, I have no idea why. And a quote that has been on my mind recently connected to all of this is that the only thing worse than failing is succeeding and not knowing why. Right? I think the original quote is something to the effect of, it's better to fail and know why than succeed and not know why. I'll have to find the credit for that. It just makes me want to pull out a microscope. It makes me want to take a microbiology class to understand my yeast starter. I think we're entering this phase of AI and computing power as this black box where we truly do not understand how AI works, right? We turn the key with a prompt. The machine learning guys give it data sets and do the training and everything, and I understand that. But I don't have a detailed enough understanding of AI, and it might be possible that nobody on the planet does because the engineers themselves say that we don't understand exactly how AIs work. At what point is it okay to just say, I turn the key, my car starts. I flip on the light switch, the light turns on. Or are we going to get into these edge cases, these edge scenarios, where it actually would be important or even life-saving to understand how the thing works? That's what I've been thinking about. Thank you for joining me. I will see you soon.